Welcome everyone. Council prayer.
Almighty God, we pray for your blessing upon this council. Help and prosper its work for the advancement and benefit of its people, so that peace and happiness, unity and justice may be established among us all. Amen.
Manningham Council acknowledges the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung people as the traditional owners of lands and waterways, now known as Manningham. Council pays respect to elders past, present and emerging, and values their ongoing contribution to enrich and appreciate the cultural heritage of Manningham. Council acknowledges and respects Australia's First Peoples as traditional owners of lands and waterways across the country, and encourages reconciliation between all. Councillors, I'd also like to note that National Sorry Day was held yesterday, and we're also in National Reconciliation Week. Manningham Council also values the contribution made to Manningham over the years by people of diverse backgrounds and cultures. I welcome all members of the public. Thank you for joining us in person and online to observe tonight's proceedings. I would also like to welcome Gabriel Ng, the member for Menzies, the newly minted member of Menzies. Thank you for joining us, Gabriel. I would like to advise that tonight's meeting is being audio and video recorded. All care will be taken to maintain your privacy. However, as a visitor in the public gallery, your presence may be recorded. By remaining in the gallery, it is assumed your consent is given in the event that your voice and/or image is broadcast by Council. No additional recording of the meeting is permitted without Council's consent. Council meetings are conducted in accordance with our governance rules. I will introduce each item of business as listed on the agenda, calling it by number and reading the title. I will then call for a mover and a seconder of a motion on the item before opening any debate. Only councillors can join the debate on an item. Councillors may adopt the officer's recommendation in the report or propose amendments and supplementary motions. I would like to draw your attention to item 7 on tonight's agenda. Public question time provides people with an opportunity to ask questions of the Council. Council has allocated 30 minutes for question time, and the process for public question time is set out in our governance rules. Questions must be received prior to the start of the meeting to be asked. Where we receive advance notice of a question in accordance with our governance rules, we will provide a verbal response to the question at our meeting. Questions we receive prior to the meeting may be taken on notice if we don't have the information available to provide a meaningful response. If this happens, we will provide you with a written response to your question within 10 working days. Our governance rules provide that we will deal with a maximum of 2 questions per person and up to 4 questions on any one issue. These rules will be enforced to ensure a broad range of topics and perspectives can be heard during question time. When it is your turn to ask a question, I will ask you to come forward to the lectern in the gallery. After you ask your question, you'll have 2 minutes to make a brief statement. If you have more than 2 questions, please submit these additional questions in writing to Council through the normal channels. To ensure the efficient conduct of our meeting and maximum participation during question time, all questions and answers shall be as brief as possible and no discussion will be entered into. Councillors and the gallery are reminded that question time is to be conducted in a respectful manner, having consideration to the diverse views of those present. Any disorderly conduct will be managed in accordance with our governance rules. Item number 2, apologies and requests for leave of absence. There are no apologies. Councillors, are there any requests for leave of absence? And there are none noted. Item number 3, prior notification of conflict of interest. Councillors, a prior notification of a general conflict of interest has been received from Councillor Lang.
Councillors, I have submitted a written disclosure of conflict of interest form to the CEO for item 11.1, Manningham Youth and Recreation Sport Advisory Committee membership. My interest in this item is a general conflict of interest, as my daughter has been nominated to become a member of the Manningham Youth Advisory Committee. I will leave the meeting prior to the consideration of item 11.1.
Thank you, Councillor Lang. Would any other councillors like to give notice of a conflict of interest? And there are no more noted. Item number 4, confirmation of minutes. Do I have a mover?
I move that the minutes of the council meeting held on the 29th of April 2025 be confirmed.
Thank you, Councillor Carly Lang. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Jim Grievous. I'll put that to a vote. All those in favour? And that's carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. Item number 5, presentations. 5.1, motion of condolence, passing of William Darmondy. Councillors, it is with deep sadness that I must inform you of the passing of William Darmondy. William, or Buddy, as he was affectionately known, was a former employee at Manningham Council and served the community for an incredible 50 years. His career spanned across the road crew, workshop maintenance and fleet detailing. But he still holds the record as Manningham's longest-serving employee, joining Manningham Council in 1969 and retiring in 2019. He was also the only employee to have a roadway named in his honour, Buddy's Way, the main road into and through our depot office. Buddy was well known across council and respected by everyone, and he will be sadly missed. Do I have a mover?
Madam Mayor, I'll move the motion. Do you want me to read it?
Yes, please.
The council place on record its sadness at the recent passing of William Darmondy. Second, record its appreciation for the contribution by William to Manningham Council and the broader community. And 3, extend its sympathy and condolences to William Darmondy's family during this difficult time.
Thank you, Councillor Goff. Do I have a seconder?
I second the motion, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lang. Councillor Goff, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And it is with sadness because Buddy, who he was known as, William, was a character of note at Manningham. I suppose you could say, was one of the last of the faithful workers of 1969 through to today, working in the same place at the depot. He was absolutely loved by his co-workers. He was looked after by his co-workers. They would protect him. They would make sure that he was happy at work, and the workers down there actually loved helping him and being with him. He was a superb worker for us and a great advocate for Manningham, supporting people of all abilities to be able to work in a mainstream workforce, which actually gives their life a purpose and a reason and doesn't discard them to a welfare scrap heap. So it's absolutely fantastic. He was great. And I'm sure down at the depot, people down there are very, very sad about his passing, as is anyone that did know him, and the former councillors here certainly knew Buddy, and also to his family and everybody else. He will be missed as that. You know, you can't replace characters such as himself, and he will be remembered into the future by the road naming after him. So that's a wonderful thing that is happening. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Goff. Councillor Lang, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Goff said it all. Thank you.
Thank you. Would any other councillors like to speak to the motion? I'll put that to a vote. All those in favour? And that's carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. We have a second motion of condolence, councillors, the passing of Henry Metcher. Councillors, it was with deep sadness I must inform you of the passing of Henry Metcher. Henry, or Harry, served in World War II, enlisting in August 1942 and served up to September 1945. He served as a signalman, constructing telephone lines from Cape York to Central Australia and Darwin. He was a member of the Doncaster RSL for many years, and in 2013 was made a life member for his valuable contributions to the RSL. Do I have a mover?
I move that Council place on record its sadness at the recent passing of Henry Metcher, record its appreciation for the contribution by Henry Metcher to Manningham Council and the broader community, and extend its sympathy and condolences to Henry Metcher's family during this difficult time.
Thank you, Councillor Mayne. Do I have a seconder?
So I'm happy to second that, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Conlon. Councillor Mayne, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to take a moment to honour and thank Henry for his immense contributions to our community, not only as a World War II veteran, but as a lifelong member of the Doncaster RSL. Henry's service didn't end when the war ended. He continued to give so much through his support to other fellow veterans, the stories he shared, and the way he helped younger generations understand the true meaning of sacrifice, service, and mateship. It's through stories like Henry's that our community can learn, reflect, and remember. These stories connect us to our past and guide us to honour those who served us. So, to his family and friends, I offer my heartfelt condolences. Henry's legacy will not be forgotten. And of course, I'd like to also thank the Doncaster RSL for the tireless work that they do supporting our veterans and preserving the spirit of remembrance in our community, lest we forget.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Conlon, would you like to speak to the motion?
It's just briefly, and just to reinforce Councillor Mayne's thoughts there about the sacrifice that we remember from all our veterans, and it is sad to see another one pass, but it's great that we have these traditions like Anzac Day, that we can continue to remember them, and Remembrance Day as well. So, yeah, to his family, we do wish you all the best as you remember him, and the life he's served, not only as a soldier, but as part of a family, as a father, and a brother, a son, all that. But it's quite amazing the amount of people that have put their lives on the line and for Australia, and yeah, it's great that we can honour Henry in this way. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Would any other councillors like to speak to the motion? I will put that to a vote. All those in favour? And that's carried unanimously. Item 5.3, Federal Elections 2025. Councillors, following the recent 2025 federal election, I would like to formally acknowledge and congratulate the following successfully elected federal members: Mr Aaron Violi MP, re-elected to the seat of Casey, Mr Gabriel Ng, elected to the seat of Menzies, and Mr Matt Gregg, elected to the seat of Deakin. Congratulations on this honourable achievement. On behalf of Manningham Council, we look forward to fostering a constructive and collaborative relationship with our federal representatives in the years ahead as we work together to advocate for and support the best interests of our residents and community. Councillors, we have Mr Gabriel in the room, so could we please congratulate him? And councillors, I'd also like to take this opportunity to acknowledge and thank the Honourable Michael Sukar and Keith Wallahan for their many years of dedication and service to the seats of Menzies and Deakin. Item number 5.4, acknowledgement of our very own Councillor Anna Chen, recipient of the Eastern Community Legal Centre Lifetime Achievement Award for 2025. Councillors, I'm very pleased to advise that at the recent Eastern Community Legal Centre Volunteers and Partnerships Annual Dinner, held on the 15th of May this year, Councillor Anna Chen received a Lifetime Achievement Award. This award is in recognition of her 15+ years of voluntary service to ECLC. In presenting the award, ECLC noted Councillor Chen's wide-ranging roles over her time and the positive influence this has had on both clients and fellow volunteers. On behalf of Manningham Council and the community, I'd like to congratulate Councillor Chen on this very significant achievement. Item number 6, petitions. And there are no petitions to consider tonight. Item 7, public question time. We have received a number of questions for tonight's council meeting. Anyone who has registered a question with council will have the opportunity to read out their question or choose to have their question read out by our CEO. Our first question tonight comes from Sandra Massimini. Sandra's not in the gallery, so I'm going to ask our CEO to read out the questions.
Thank you, Mayor. And just to give some context, these questions are in relation to NELP worker parking in the Bulleen area. And the first question is, as the facility to register specific vehicles is already available on the applications for parking permit form on the Manningham website, why can't it be adjusted that we can register all vehicles from our home that could park on the street, in my case 4 vehicles, and then get an additional 3 parking permits for visitors and family functions? We could upload our individual driver's licence to prove address. Surely you could make an allowance to give us more parking permits. And the second question is, will there be a grace period for parking inadvertently without a permit, as it is something that we might forget until we get used to it?
Thank you, Sandra, for your questions. I'm going to ask Andrew McMaster, who is our Director of City Planning and Livability, to provide you with a response.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Sandra, for your question. By way of background on this matter for the benefit of the gallery and for those who are watching at home, Spark closed access to the Manningham Interchange construction compound, which has resulted in Spark workers parking their vehicles in local streets and is creating an ongoing adverse impact to residents and local businesses. Council officers received minimal communication from the project in relation to the upcoming Spark compound closure, and Council had no indication of the timing and extent of the upcoming closure. Officers were caught by surprise when the project recommenced work on the 6th of January with stage 1 closures in effect. The lack of early notification from NELP and Spark has resulted in Council needing to be reactive to this issue rather than taking a proactive and planned approach in partnership with the community by preemptive consultation. We have tried to respond quickly to concerns raised by the community and businesses, including endorsement at the March Council meeting to implement parking restrictions in your area, in response to 3 community petitions which were tabled at the February and March Council meetings. Council has also undertaken community consultation to understand the community's preferred parking restrictions for the area. In relation to your question regarding parking permits, the collection of information in the permit application process assists us to confirm that the permit being applied for is associated with a particular property. The current policy allows for the permits issued to be used on different vehicles associated with that property rather than specific vehicles, providing our residents with a level of flexibility. Council has an endorsed parking permit policy which specifies how the restrictions can be implemented. Where residential parking restrictions are in place, single detached properties which have not been subdivided may be eligible for up to 3 parking permits, with 2 of those permits available at no fee. All parking permits are issued in accordance with our parking management policy and that eligibility criteria. You can find out more about the parking permit process on Council's website. Please also note that Council has negotiated with Spark for Spark to reimburse residents for 1 permit per property. Spark have confirmed with Council that they have already received a number of reimbursement requests and are processing these as they come through. The parking permit policy and eligibility criteria have been established to ensure there is enough parking on the street to share between the residents in this area. Most properties in this area of Bulleen have access to off-street parking, and the parking permits allow for eligible properties to access additional parking on street where required and pending that eligibility. If council changed this process to allow permits for additional vehicles, there would not be enough parking for everyone, and council is trying to ensure a fair and equitable system for all residents in the area. In relation to your second question, council anticipates that the parking permit signs will be installed across this area in the coming week. The recent letter sent to residents in the initial zone encouraged those residents to apply for their parking permit where eligible. As stated in the letter, council will allow time for residents to apply for and receive those parking permits before enforcement commences. Once enforcement commences, council officers will be increasing patrols in the area, with restrictions proposed to be in place 24 hours a day, given that the NELT project is being delivered 24 hours a day as well. It is important to note that all vehicles parking on the street will be bound by the same restrictions. While the intention is to prevent construction workers parking their vehicles in local streets, resident vehicles that do not have a valid permit displayed will be subject to the same infringement process as any other vehicle. While Spark construction vehicles should park in their dedicated parking areas, construction vehicles parking in residential streets will be subject to the same requirements as other non-permit holding vehicles. Thank you for your question. Yes, sure.
Our next question is from Danielle Chiliberto. As Danielle's not in the gallery this evening, I'll invite the CEO, Andrew Day, to read the question on her behalf.
Thank you, Mayor. And this question is also in relation to North East Link parking in the Bulleen area. I wish to ask how imposing a 2-hour parking zone 24 hours a day actually solves the problem of where those working on the NEL, they still have to come to work, will park. They still have to come to work. Where are they going to park their cars?
Thank you, Andrew. I'm going to ask Andrew McMaster again to provide a response.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Danielle, for your question. As you are aware, council sought input from the community on multiple parking restriction options. Based on the feedback which we've received from the community, the preferred option for this initial zone included was option 3, which is 2-hour parking resident permit areas on both sides of the street, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This option will mean that there will be a 2-hour parking limit for vehicles parking on both sides of the street. Resident permit holders will be exempt from these time restrictions and will be able to park on both sides of the street with no time limit. This is intended as a strong deterrent to construction worker parking in the area. The time has deliberately been put forward as an option because it is anticipated it will be very difficult for Spark workers to leave their post 3 times per 8-hour shift to move their vehicle. We hope this will deter parkers from parking in residential streets and instead encourage them to utilise the satellite parking options which are being provided by the project. Spark have recently notified council that they have secured additional dedicated worker parking at the Veneto Club and that they will continue to explore options for more satellite parking in the future. We are continuing to advocate to the state government for a solution to this problem, acknowledging that it is impacting our local residents and businesses.
Thank you, Andrew. We have one more question on the subject. We have a question from Mr. Colin Atkin. Colin, would you like to come to the lectern? So you have 2 minutes to make a brief statement and then please ask your questions.
Sure. Great. First of all, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for allowing me to speak tonight. I will stick to time, I promise. But importantly, thank you to the council and the councillors for taking up, which seems like a boring issue of parking. It's not. Ilma Court, Rob Close, you're all going to know where it is, what we've been through for 5 to 6 years. This is not a January thing, it's 5 to 6 years. And it's been terrible for the people in that area. We've been in contact with Nella, Spark, politicians, Minister for Planning. No one is there to support us in that long period of time. And we've got 3 to 4 more years of this going forward and beyond with a park with no car parks. So hopefully you do know where Ilma Court is. Ilma Court is in a relatively unique position, but I don't demean anyone else's problems that they go through in their area. We stand in complete solidarity. So firstly, thank you for taking it up. We need you. We've got no one else. Gabriel, it's a bonus you're here. Your state government, EPRs have been breached for 5 to 6 years. That's a systemic breach of EPRs. It says must not park in residential streets. If it was a corporate, there'd be all sorts of problems for that corporate, I can assure you. 2 minutes. So I'm here about Ilma Court. The council is understanding of our circumstance, the problematic nature for us. What I want to raise tonight is the survey that was put to residents. It did not address our petition. Our petition of May came from every single resident in Ilma Court and Rob Close, everyone that could be contacted. So that wasn't half, that was 93% of households. Everyone in those streets asked for a resident-only parking area because of what they've been going through for the last couple of years and what they will continue to go through. The survey didn't offer that. The survey said you can have 2 hours, 3 hours or more. There was no 1 hour, there was no less than 1 hour. Why is that relevant? Shifts for these workers are all, we watch them day in, day out, right? One Ilma Court is an office. They can walk out the front, move their cars. It's not a problem for them. Other side of the fence is another office full of office workers. They'll walk out the front, move their cars. Where we work, where we live, we're a premium spot to park, right? We're right next door. I know, getting close to time.
Yeah, and we are at your 2 minutes.
Okay.
If you could ask your questions now. Thank you, Colin.
As part of my question, there was 11 of them parked in our street yesterday in 8 car parks. Can the councillors approve or direct that no parking zones in dangerous areas of Ilma Court be implemented along with a resident-only area or resident-only area and 1 hour parking? So can the councillors approve it? Second question is, considering this, and this is what all the people in the street want, everyone in the street wants this, why won't you? So again, thank you for your attention. We need you, but they're my 2 questions.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the preface, the context of the situation as well. I am going to ask Andrew to respond, noting that you did ask the councillors to consider this.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Colin, for your question. I'm not totally clear if you are aware of the March resolution from the March council meeting, but at that meeting, council authorised the commencement of the process for implementation of restrictions in 6 streets. Ilma Court was one of them. The other 5 were Rockley Road, Rob Close, St Andrews Close, Spear Court and Golden Way. After that initial authorisation by council to implement some form of restriction, the community consultation process commenced to determine what the community would prefer. We did take an approach to the area in that survey area of consistent restrictions. Appreciate what you said about the petition. We've also started the implementation process of those 2 hour resident parking permit areas. My response to the last question around the 2 hour restriction is equally applicable to your question. We do think and hope that it will deter workers from leaving their work site and moving the vehicles. That they can't do that sort of 3 times across an 8 hour shift at the project. And for that reason, that implementation has commenced. I'm not sure whether you've seen signs in your street already, but we anticipate that rollout will be completed within the next couple of weeks. It will be a consistent restriction that's rolled out across those that tranche 1 initial 6 streets and the interconnecting courts. You mentioned safety, and where sightlines or safety is a concern, it is the intention of our traffic engineering team to address those with appropriate restrictions where that's an issue, and that's something that is in the council report before council tonight. So certainly, if once the signs go in, that's something that you think hasn't been considered in the placement of those signs, very happy to hear about that, and we can talk further about that. I appreciate Ilma Court, as you said, is in a very distinct situation, and it's probably got some quite specific needs given its location to the west of Bulleen Road, as opposed to the rest of the area. So I'm very happy for you to contact me directly with any of those concerns once those signs have been implemented, absolutely. For now, you do have the ability to apply for your permits now, as of today, in anticipation of those signs going and enforcement commencing down the track. So I'd urge you to get on and absolutely apply for those permits as well. Appreciating what you said about resident only without the ability for 2-hour parking within that street. The ability of you to display the permit will obviously be a deterrent to other construction workers using that street, we hope, on the basis that those parks will now be taken up by residents who are displaying those permits.
May I just say, they've already started parking on the street instead of in the base, but I know I'm not allowed to talk. So.
Yeah, thank you, Colin, and I invite you to stay for the rest of the council meeting where we're going to consider this item in more detail as well. So thank you so much for your question. Thank you, Andrew, for the response.
Thanks. We
do have some more questions, councillors. Our next question is from Helen Stamenitis. As Helen is not present in the gallery this evening, I'll again ask our CEO, Mr. Andrew Day, to read the question on her behalf.
Thank you, Mayor. And just again, for some context, this question is related to the ongoing conflict in Gaza. And the question is, will the council get behind the BDS movement starting from the council divesting from products that are funding Israel? So thank you for the question and your ongoing advocacy, Helen. With regards to divestment, council's current investments are predominantly in cash with Australian banks and also in local property. Insofar as boycotting and sanctioning goes, council does not have a position on this currently in relation to individual countries or companies. And council currently follows the advice of the Australian government as provided via the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade as it relates to boycotting and sanctioning. So thank you for your question.
Thank you, Andrew, and thank you again, Helen. Our next question is from Hala Alabadi. As Hala is not present in the gallery this evening, I'll invite the CEO, Mr. Andrew Day, again to read the question.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Mayor. And again, this question is in relation to the conflict in Gaza. Is council aware of whether Manningham is home to how many newly arrived refugees from Gaza? And if so, what have you done to support them?
Thank you, Andrew. I'm going to ask Lee Robson, the Director of Connected Communities, to please provide a response.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Hala, for your question, and thank you too for your concern about those who are arriving in Australia in the most challenging circumstances. According to a group called Palestine Australia Relief and Action, there were a very small number of refugees arriving from Gaza into Manningham. We are also aware of some local families who are hosting relatives who have recently arrived from Gaza. Other humanitarian arrivals into Manningham include people from Myanmar, Iran, Pakistan and Malaysia. There are a number of local supports in place for newly arrived refugees. Community health services, community legal services, the Migrant Resource Centre and our neighbourhood houses provide services across a range of areas such as health, food, legal services and language support. Doncaster provides counselling and therapy services at low or no cost. These can be provided in a range of languages with counsellors from different backgrounds and religions with the aim of being culturally sensitive. The information about the cultural backgrounds of the counsellors is on our website and also on Doncaster's own website. We're also in contact with the Centre for Muslim Wellbeing, who can make support services available locally. We meet regularly with the Ummah Centre to have conversations about local needs and how we may support improved wellbeing for those who have recently arrived. And thank you, Hala, for your question.
Thank you very much, Lee Robson. And thank you, Hala, for your question. Item number 8, admission of urgent business, and there are no items of urgent business. Item number 9, planning permit applications, and there are no planning permit applications that require a decision of council this month. Item number 10, city planning. 10.1, spark worker parking impacts to wider community. Councillors, I'm just wondering whether we need to have a pause of the meeting or a slight adjournment just to consider the question that we just had relating specifically to Ilma Court. So could I have a mover to adjourn the meeting?
To adjourn the meeting, Madam Mayor.
Can I have a seconder? Am I doing it wrong? So governance was looking at me.
Yep.
Can I have a second? So you've moved the motion,
the
a
motion.
seconder? You've second. Can I, all those in favour? And that's carried unanimously. Thank you. Councillors, I'd like to propose a motion to reopen the meeting to the public. Can I please have a mover?
Madam Mayor, I'll move that motion.
Thank you, Councillor Grievous. Do I have a seconder?
Happy to second that.
Thank you, Councillor Conlon. I'll put that to a vote. All those in favour? And that's carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors, and thank you, everyone, for your patience. So I'm going to move back to 10.1, spark worker parking impacts to the wider community. Do I have a mover? Councillor Goff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to move this motion with 2 additions, a J and a K. So it's as the motion as read there up to I, and then J, undertake a further review of parking restrictions in Elmer Court and Rob Close within 1 month of implementation of the 2-hour resident permit parking on both sides of the street, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and delegate...
Sorry, councillor, can you read J first, please? Because J is also an...
That's what I meant, undertake further review. It's been rearranged.
Oh, has it? Oh,
Has been
sorry, councillor,
rearranged.
sorry, it's different on the
Okay.
screen. My apologies.
Oh, all right, well, okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we
okay.
don't have this, the amendment that the councillor's reading, we don't have on the screen?
Yes, we do.
No, we don't.
Where'd you get up to?
So just,
Oh, yeah, you just got the K, have you?
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sorry for interrupting.
All right,
sorry.
so they've renumbered on that, so it's not as exactly as it is. It goes to the original K up there under lights is now, the original J under there is now K, and I'm inserting a J before the K because alphabetically I think it does come
Sorry,
first.
councillor, please read them again.
Okay. Undertake a further review of parking restrictions in Elmer Court and Rob Close within 1 month of implementation of the 2-hour parking, resident permit parking on both sides of the street for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and delegate the Chief Executive Officer the final decision regarding the parking restrictions in these locations. And then K, authorise Council CEO or delegate to continue to advocate to Spark and NELP for the reimbursement of council for all costs associated with the introduction of parking restrictions, including consultation, signage and ongoing monitoring, enforcement and administration and removal at the end of the project.
Thank you, councillor. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Anna Chen.
Yeah, I second the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor. Councillor Goff, would you like to speak to the motion?
I would like to speak to the motion, Madam Mayor. And indeed, you reminded me, Councillor Goff, don't go into history. I don't need to go into history. We know this year started off in January and a lot started happening from that particular point, more so than last year when it was just dust and everything else. And I have to actually, first of all, and I want to really congratulate the office for the extremely fast responses to this issue that did come to us in the March meeting. And we are now in the May meeting, and I don't know that I've seen an issue come up and going back to council in such a fast period of time. So congratulations on all the officers and everyone working there with the community to get something done in this area. We did hear a speaker before, but again, I had circled on my notes here the very important section of our report. And the most important paragraph in our report is, and what all this is based on, is paragraph 2.7. Because quite honestly, it is the responsibility of NELP and Spark to abide with the performance requirements of the environmental performance requirements. The construction compound, the work site, where they're placing vehicles, their responsibility not to interfere with commerce or overly affect housing or residential areas in the process of going through their works. And indeed, it is absolutely correct, and I said it last time, if this was actually a private developer developing something on Doncaster Hill, our officers would have shut that construction site down until they sorted out their parking issues and what they're going to do with it. We spend time making everybody else go through getting those plans and doing it, and then they go. So in order, and I have to say one thing here, we had to respond like this, and I'm very glad that Spark and the people are starting to listen. And it's very unfortunate that it has taken us this stage to get here, but we are here now where we've worked out a solution. Now, I know everyone's not going to be happy because when petitions come in, it triggered it. It was an emergency thing. It was happening in a big time in that area, and we responded. We've gone out. Not everybody will be happy about what we're putting out there, but we are doing the best we can to tackle with an issue brought on us by another level of government on building a development that probably it needs to be built in the end, but putting that onto our people, and we're trying to alleviate their pain as best we can. And it won't suit everybody, and we don't want it there to be forever. So in this, it really is an adoption of the processes we've gone through. If you go through the report, the recommendations are all about what we've done, how we've gone about it, and how we're going to go forwards. And basically, we are looking at the area in three different little sections. We're looking at the section originally as a section of people writing in on the petitions that came to council and were tabled at the March meeting. The second, we've got the area there that is really affected at the moment, which is south of Manningham Road. And we have a wider area going the north of Manningham Road along the Bulleen-Templestowe Road section, which at the moment is not really impacted very much at all. And we're putting that on hold for the time being, and then going to be looking at that if and when issues occur there. It's not that we want to raise money, Madam Mayor. We're not about doing that. We're trying to get amenity back to people that have lost amenity. Not only are they suffering under lights brighter than the MCG every night, they've got noises every night pounding away with the pounding piles or whatever into the ground. There's a huge imposition, the dust, everything else, and the streets being clogged there. There are lots of issues that we've tried to address with this, and this motion sets out what and why we're doing it. Now, one of the reasons, Madam Mayor, we've taken this in at the last minute and made that last little change there, is that it is very correct with, it was pointed out, and we haven't got the exact answer for it, but what is under consideration is why Ilma Court and Rob Close is different. And may I say, we do see it as different because it is right on where the works are. It's right beside them. It's right beside their offices. It's right beside other things that are operating there. Secondly, it's an extremely narrow street. I mean, if anybody has been...
Councillor, time. Would you like an extension of time? Can I have a mover, please?
I'll move that motion.
Councillor Grievous and Councillor Lang is seconding that. I'll put that to a vote. All those in favour? And that's carried. Councillor, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. It is different because basically that section has an extremely narrow street with rollover curb. So you will find that the street surface will barely, if at all, fit 2 cars running along the street inside the concrete to actually pass each other. People really have to move over, and if you really want to park, what you're doing is you're putting, with the rollover curb, not the normal angular curb, one on the grass and on there, and people can still get around. So if that street is blocked out, it is extremely dangerous, and it's an emergency too, because of the tightness of that street. Emergency vehicles, fire engines, ambulances won't be able to get up if they're parked out all the way through. So there's an emergency there, and it is on the only little streets between Bulleen Road and the river, and it's surrounded by a parkland the other side. So there's one entrance in and out onto the road, and it's the closest thing to their offices. And I know that, you know, you could probably duck in and out those offices pretty quickly to move your car around. And we don't want those games played, and it's not for that. It's just that we want to get some quality back for our residents in Manningham, and these are the ways. We've only got certain tools and levers that we can pull, and we're trying to pull those to do the best we can. And I think the community as a whole is very thankful that someone is actually doing that, and then we're getting some gravitas with Spark, because they are finding extra car parks now under that pressure. I know they've found about 120 or 130 out of the 288 or something that went missing. So we are making progress, and they are on the table to talk. We need to continue to communicate and do the great work that we're doing on the issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Chen, would you like to speak to the motion?
Well, Councillor Goff has talked a lot about parking restrictions, but all the implementations of parking restrictions come with a cost. So that's why at the March Council meeting, Council has endorsed our request for NELP and Spark to reimburse councils for all costs, let me put that way, associated with any introduction of parking restrictions, including consultation, signage, and ongoing monitoring, enforcement, and administration. All credits to our officers and all those negotiations, but I mean that Spark has since confirmed that financial compensation for costs associated with the implementation of parking restrictions to a council, but it still did not cover the full cost requested by council. Given that many large construction projects always prone to delay, and so further parking restrictions may be possible. If that happens, it will cost our ratepayers dearly. Therefore, it is prudent that council continue to advocate for financial compensation to the end of the project. I repeat, to the end of the project. North East Link is not a council project, because NELP and Spark did not provide enough worker parking in line with the NELP environmental performance requirements and their subsequent work site traffic management. Therefore, council has been left to find solutions to mitigate the impact, which is very unfortunate. No doubt it has drained substantial officers' time and resources. As a result of that, my ward is not directly impacted by the project, but because of the project drained a lot of time and resources, many of the local projects has to be delayed or on hold. The impact is difficult to quantify because it's easy to quantify the cost of the signage, the consultation, but the other cost for the delay of our residents waiting to something to be done, you cannot quantify the impact. So that has a huge impact I have to say, a huge impact to the whole Manningham community. But at least this alternative motion could mitigate some financial impact to council to some degree. So I hope that our councillors can support the alternative motions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chen. Do I have any speakers against the motion? Do I have any other speakers for the motion? Councillor Lang.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I guess I just probably want to, with all the information, make sure we still get a key message out here. And thank you to Councillor Goff and Councillor Chen for making it very clear that parking restrictions actually cost council. So it is clear that it is not a way to make any revenue, but it's actually costs us. It costs us in time, it costs us in resources, it costs us in continue monitoring and maintenance. So there is that aspect, and we are going to continue to seek compensation from the North East Link Authority for that. But it's the other message that this isn't our project. It has impacted our residents, and we need to continue to put pressure and advocate to the North East Link Authority to provide adequate parking in all of their stages of construction. We've seen the outcome of this one, and we've seen the impact it makes on our community. We don't want this happening for every single stage and every single construction stage and company. So we need to continue that other key message of making sure that North East Link Authority provide adequate worker parking when they are doing their construction in all zones and stages. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Do I have any other speakers for the motion? Councillor Griffiths.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I also want to thank the officers for their quick response in this motion. We also thank our residents for the responses that they've provided us in regards to the issues that they're having. Specifically, we want to acknowledge the issues in residents in Ilma Court and Rob Close, and we have listened tonight. But we also, yes, listening to Spark, and they're listening to us for their contributions and the work that they're doing, but more needs to be done from them. As per last time, we can see that the spark is still lit, but don't let it become a fire. We'll put it out. I ask that councillors adopt the amended recommendation and the feedback from the residents and officers.
Thank you, Councillor Griffiths. Councillors, I would just also like to speak and thank you for considering this amended motion, and particularly looking at the amendment of J, the further review of parking restrictions in Ilma Court and Rob Close. I think it's important that we understand that this now introduces a two-stage approach to looking at the parking restrictions there. So I do thank the officers for considering this and working with this review period once the 2P restrictions go in. Do I have any other speakers to the motion? I'll put that to a vote. All those in favour? And that's carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, Colin. Item 10.2, Doncaster Hill Development Contributions Plan 2005, expiry of the plan. Do I have a mover?
I move that the recommendation be adopted.
Thank you, Councillor Laura Main. Do I have a seconder?
Mayor, I second the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Bain. Councillor Laura Main, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. So since its introduction in 2005, the Doncaster Hill DCP has played a significant role in co-funding infrastructure projects aligned with the Doncaster Hill strategy, which aim to create a vibrant and high-quality urban precinct. So under the DCP, I guess how it worked, developers were required to make a financial contribution that then went directly towards delivering new infrastructure projects in the area. While the DCP did not fully fund these projects, it was a substantial contribution, and while the remaining of the costs were covered by council. So the Doncaster Hill DCP, I would like to acknowledge, was a really forward-thinking initiative at the time, introduced at a time where structured development contributions were still emerging as a planning tool. But over its lifetime, the DCP has delivered 26 of the 56 planned infrastructure projects, with all levies collected now fully expended. The total value of these completed projects is approximately 37.6 million, which is significant. However, due to the slower than expected growth, the number of these projects didn't proceed, unfortunately. So I guess just administratively, on the 18th of December 2024, the Department of Transport and Planning confirmed that Manningham Council has met its obligations under the Planning Environment Environment Act. And as the GCP approaches expiry, it is now necessary to amend the Manningham planning scheme to remove references to the plan, which is an amendment that is purely really administrative in nature. But finally, I would like to take a moment to thank the officers for all their hard work over the past 20 years, both with developing and then administering this great initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Laura Main. Councillor Peter Bain, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Do I have any speakers against the motion? Do I have any other speakers for the motion? I will put that to a vote. All those in favour? And that's carried unanimously. Item 10.3, Statutory Planning Application Activity Quarter 3, January to March 2025. Do I have a mover?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the recommendation be adopted.
Thank you, Councillor Griffiths. Do I have a seconder?
Thank you, Mayor. I second the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Bain. Councillor Griffiths, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to acknowledge the work undertaken by the statutory planning team over the last quarter. We can see that whilst the numbers seem a little bit down in the last quarter, this is mainly due to holiday periods, of course. We noticed that Council's Vic Smart applications were 100% approved within their timeframe, and all other applications at 79.42 within their timeframe. So well done on that. It goes in both of these. It's well above the metro average, which is fantastic, and we hope they keep up the great work for that. It shows that Manningham does work with both the objectors and owners, developers, and to have a positive outcome for all in this issue. And in the last quarter, we noticed that there was only 3 VCAT applications. So it goes to show that we are doing the right thing. So well done to everyone. And I ask that we adopt a recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Griffiths. Councillor Bain, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Do I have any councillors speaking against the motion? Do I have any other councillors speaking for the motion? I'll put that to a vote. All those in favour? And that's carried unanimously. Item 11, Connected Communities. 11.1, Manningham Youth and Recreation and... I'm going to start again, councillors. Manningham Youth and Recreation and Sport Advisory Committee membership nominations.
Councillors, I wish to disclose that I have a general conflict of interest to this item, as my daughter has been nominated to become a member of the Manningham Youth Advisory Committee. I'll be leaving the chamber for the duration of this item.
Thank you, Councillor Lane. Councillors, do I have a mover for this item?
I'd like to move that the recommendation be adopted.
Thank you, Councillor Conlon. And do I have a seconder?
I second the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Main. Councillor Andrew Conlon, would you like to speak to the motion?
I would like to speak to it just briefly. And I'll leave the Youth Committee for Councillor Main. But yeah, it is great that we did have such a strong response, particularly for the Recreation and Sports Advisory Committee. You know, we can have up to 20 people, which would probably be not really manageable, but anyway, it's up there. But it's great that we've got 6 people returning from the previous committee, and they were all good members. So I highly recommend those people. The report notes there was someone from outside of the municipality that wasn't probably didn't meet the criteria, and then we've got 5 new applicants with experience in organised sports and recreation settings, and 4 new applicants with general community members with an interest in active recreation. And that really speaks to the balance that we're trying to achieve in that committee, which is a combination of recreational and sports people. And I look forward to that committee starting up again, because it was actually quite an effective committee. And most of the members, I think their feedback was that they felt they'd contributed, they enjoyed the meetings, and that was a positive experience for them. And it's really, we'll talk a bit later about the council plan, but it's really great to see so many people passionate about getting better use out of our facilities and more people out and about, because we talk about mental health sort of stuff, but actually the best preventer, I think, is shown to be outside, and being active is probably the best thing you can do in terms of mental health. So it fits in with our council plan, which is coming up for adoption. But I highly recommend all those people, and also would like to thank all the members. I've done this previously, but the people who have previously served as well. It is a great commitment and very valued by us as councillors and the officers. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Conlon. Councillor Laura Mayne, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Although I'm a member of ISAC as well, and I agree with Councillor Conlon, it is a wonderful committee, but I have the honour of being the chair of our Manningham Youth Advisory Committee, or MIAC, as I like to call it. So I'll just speak a little bit more to these nominations. So, as I mentioned at a previous meeting, we've accepted the new terms of reference, where we have changed the structure of this committee to include membership from some of our local schools. So in doing so, Manningham reached out to 9 secondary schools who invited to nominate 1 student representative, and we received nominations from 7 schools encompassing both government and non-government institutions. In addition to these school-based representatives, 4 young people were nominated by Manningham Youth Services as well, and then we received 9 self-nominations from local young people with a mix of secondary and tertiary students, all from the ages of 15 to 25. But importantly, 3 of these nominations came from previous MIAC members, bringing valuable experience and continuity to the group. So in total, we received 20 high-quality nominations from a diverse range of backgrounds and interests, and I'm very pleased to share that we have endorsed all 20 to form the new MIAC committee. So this committee will play a vital role in how we engage with our young people in Manningham, and I really look forward to meeting both our new and returning members at our upcoming meeting and seeing the positive contributions that we'll continue to provide to our local community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mayne. Do I have any speakers against the motion? Do I have any other speakers for the motion? I will put that to a vote. All those in favour? And that's carried unanimously. Could I ask Councillor Lang to be brought back in? Welcome back. Item number 12, City Services. 12.1, Road Management Plan Review and Adoption. Do I have a mover? Councillor Chen.
I move that the recommendation be adopted.
Thank you, Councillor. Do I have a seconder?
I second the motion, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lang. Councillor Chen, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. And as the local road authority under the Road Management Act 2004, Manningham Council is responsible for the management, maintenance, and development of the local road network within Manningham. Road Management Plan was initially adopted by Council in 2004, with updates adopted by Council approximately every 4 years. At the February Council meeting, Council endorsed the revised Road Management Plan 2025. A notice of the proposed amendments to the plan was published in the Victoria Government Gazette and in a daily newspaper required by the law. It was also published on Your Say Manningham for community feedback and received 8 submissions. 5 of the submissions were related to specific locations, which is out of the scope of the plan. They have been referred to the relevant team, and a response will be provided to the submitters in due course. Other feedback was generally positive. The revised plan helps Council improve service delivery, demonstrate value for money, and provide accountability to our customers and community. I seek Council's support to the recommendation to ensure Council meets its obligations required by the legislations. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chen. Councillor Lang, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Chen said it all.
Do I have any speakers against the motion? Do I have any other speakers for the motion? Well, I'll put that to a vote. All those in favour? And that is carried unanimously. Item 12.2, Road Safety Strategy and Action Plan 2025 to 2034. Do I have a mover?
I move that the recommendation be adopted, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lang. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Chen.
Second the motion, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Lang, would you like to speak to the motion?
I will speak to the motion now.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. The road safety strategy and the action plan go very hand in hand in the item that we just previously had. But we know that the road safety strategy has been out, it has received community feedback, and it is really setting a clear vision and direction for how we address our roads, how we look after our roads, how we continue to keep our road network connected, functioning and well maintained. And it sets out that strategic overall picture for our local road network. And then the action plan is our steps to address that. And so I'm very pleased to say that there's been a lot of work go into our road safety strategy and action plan, and that we've had the feedback and incorporated that. But most importantly, it's about the principles that it's designed on. And that is, if I can read the 4 principles, that it is about safe people, safe speeds, safe roads and safe vehicles. And then the action plan sets out how to address those principles. I'd like to thank the officers, the community and all those involved in drafting the strategy and the action plan. Because when I speak to community, I hear very much about how our roads are so important. With all the infrastructure that council manage, our roads are one of those most important assets. And when I continually hear from the community, it's about potholes and being safe and having safe vehicles. It's about safe speeds, keeping people safe. And it's about having updated and efficient quality road maintenance. So I'm very pleased that the road safety strategy and action plan looks at keeping our people safe, our roads safe, our speeds safe and our vehicles safe. I also just wanted to then add that I'm looking forward to seeing the implementation and working with the officers on our road network, because can I leave you with this lasting little thought? Did you know that most of our Manninghamians start and end their trips, every trip they take, with a local road? That's how important our infrastructure is. Thank you.
I like that. Thank you, Councillor Lang. Do I have any... Oh, no, Councillor Chen, would you like to speak to the motion? Sorry, I got taken away by Councillor Lang's quote.
Yes, I try to feed the gap. So because Councillor Lang has been very comprehensive, but I just have to say that the current strategy was implemented in the year 2010, and is outdated. So Council has conducted comprehensive analysis and to identify the challenges and also the areas for improvement. We also opened online survey and for comments, and we received 127 submissions, including feedback from a retirement village, which is really good response. And it's interesting to note that the males represented 64% of the submissions, which means that the male driver used the road a lot, more than female drivers. And the approval rate of the action plans was high, with minimum 68% support for all action items, which is amazing. So normally they will have one or two have different opinions. And the renewed strategy is a project funded by TAC grant, and the project is required to meet TAC requirements. That is why consultation with our advisory committee will not be possible early in the year. But council did include internal stakeholders' opinions, and it's determined that the plan is inclusive and addressing the needs of all our users. Madam Mayor, council is committed to using the SAFE system in the renewed strategy, which Councillor Lang just touched on: safer roads, safer speed, safer people, and safer vehicles. So council will adopt a strategic and targeted approach to improve the safety of the existing road networks through the prioritization of the action plans. So the action plan will be reviewed every 3 years, and to ensure it stays relevant and aligns with the community expectations and the industry best practice. I noted that both the national and Victorian road safety strategies are scheduled for renewal in the year 2031. So any updates from the renewed national and state road strategy will be considered and revised accordingly. So that overall, there is a great piece of work, a strategy and action plan. So there's no reason why we couldn't support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Do I have any speakers against the motion? Do I have any other speakers for the motion? Councillor El-Taha.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to say thank you to the officers for their work in putting this together. I think all of us know how absolutely vital it is for our roads to remain safe, especially for me in particular, because I have young children, and one of the things that's really pivotal is the way roads around our school are managed. So that is something incredibly important to our community, and I think having action plans like this help us ensure that we're considering all of those factors into our planning. One of the things I also wanted to note is, while there was a lot of community feedback in this report, something that comes to us as councillors often is live and dynamic feedback in terms of issues that are appearing on our roads. And I have been impressed with the level of care and regard that officers put towards addressing those things and not just sort of getting lost in terms of policy. They handle it all with a lot of regard and care, and then it goes in towards the ever-evolving and perpetual decision-making regarding our road safety. So I just think it's important to note that while there are plans like this in place, and they're very, very supported and endorsed by myself, there is this ongoing nature where we are constantly looking at these plans, and it's something that our officers take seriously, and I thank them for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor El-Taha. Do I have any other speakers for the motion? I'll put that to a vote. All those in favour? And sorry, Councillor Bain, did you vote? Sorry, yeah, no, sorry, it's carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. Item 12.3, March 2025 Capital Works Status Report. Do I have a mover?
I move that the report be noted.
That the recommendation be adopted.
The recommendation.
Thank you,
the
councillor.
report is to be noted. Yes.
Do I have a seconder?
I second the motion, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor El-Taha. Councillor Goff, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Big long report, and we've got it divided up into so many different graphs and areas. I think it really is amazing. Now, you know, this is an area where you have my greatest sympathy, because you're doing something, you're building things, you're getting them out there, and hiccups come and things change. And when we read through this report, we've got to understand that things happen as we're doing. Certain projects get delayed, other ones are brought on, and we've got a great system here. Instead of them just all of that money just going through to next year into its capital works budget, so we can always have a double amount capital works budget, we actually have other things to come in and fill their place. And this report actually sets out what's happening and what we're doing. And I suppose, and the executive summary for one of the first is fantastic. Whoever did that is actually really good, because it actually comes out, and it really, you know, I look at the 3.4, I look at 3.7 and 3.8, and those three areas on our report, which is the high value projects with risk, and that is and later in the report is put out, very clearly indicates our position. And I think the clarity of the report has been absolutely fantastic. I will say one thing though, and it's not about the report and it's not about this, but it is my concern over a certain item being capitalised and not being used as part of ongoing things. Now, I know that we've got ongoing money for maintenance in our capital works budget and we've put it in as capital. I understand all of that. Very good, and it clearly states it. The one area is information technology, computers, whatever. We're capitalising it. Must be buying the equipment. And I'd like to actually propose, or no, not now, but I just want to put out there that perhaps that should be an ongoing operational cost rather than a capital cost, because it is required for us to do our regular everyday work. It's not one of these things that is a capital project that appreciates. It's not a building. It's something that devalues remarkably quickly, like within 3 years it's worth nothing. And basically it's an operational cost for us to do our work, not a capital item. And I'm just wondering whether in the future we could, in the council, and I'm just raising it here in this, I think the report's fantastic. That's great, but I'm just raising this issue that it's something that I consider we could look at because in many ways it is, in my opinion, now I could be very wrong, I'm not an accountant, I'm not very smart, but I'd like to just put that out. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor El-Taha, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, please, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Goff, for that overview, although I wouldn't second guess your smarts at all. I just want to reiterate the importance of Council delivering on one of its fundamental tenets, which is the maintenance of its core infrastructure to ensure that the community has access to quality roads, footpaths and facilities. So I thank the officers for their work in terms of delivering this, providing us the status report and ensuring the assets that Manningham Council is responsible for are managed well and maintained. I also support the works being always undertaken to a high level of quality and know that while disruptions can often happen, we maintain conscientiousness over this and try to minimise disruptions as much as possible. I also would just continue to encourage community to reach out to officers and councillors and notify us and let us know of issues in their areas in terms of infrastructure so they can just proactively be addressed by council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor El-Taha. Do I have any speakers against the motion? Any other speakers for the motion? Councillor Chen.
I would like to ask a question, if I may. And the March quarterly report listed 274 projects, increased from the 239 projects initially listed. And I just couldn't help but wonder and go back to the history again. In the year 2022 and 23 financial year, 184 projects listed in our capital works program. Last financial year, we have 230 projects. So given the high volume of projects, I would love to know the anticipated completion rate at the end of this financial year, given that we have a high numbers of projects on the list.
Thank you, Councillor Chen. Helen Napier, Acting Director, City Services, are you able to respond to that question?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Sure. So the anticipated completion rate of projects for this financial year is very high. We're currently sitting at over 76%, and we're aiming for around, I think, 88 to 92% of completion.
Thank you, Helen. Councillor Chen, did you have anything further to say to the motion?
I'm okay, thank you. Just be cautious of whether we are overcommitted, or just, So that's good. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Do I have any other speakers to the motion? Councillor Lang.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to point out a part of those 274 projects that are currently listed on the plan that Councillor Chen raised. We also have those 2 big significant multi-year projects, and it is really important that we mention those because they are deliverables for our community. So I point out the Akarina redevelopment and their Jumping Creek Road upgrade and development. And again, Akarina redevelopment is about having up-to-date, well-maintained infrastructure for our community to use and enjoy, and that is working efficiently. And then Jumping Creek Road project is about keeping our community safe, and not just the local community live there, but for Jumping Creek Road, that is a gateway from the Melbourne City to the Yarra Valley. So therefore, it's about keeping all communities safe. So I just wanted to call out those 2 very significant, costly multi-year projects that are in our capital works status report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other speakers to the motion? I will put that to a vote. All those in favour? And that's carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 13, experience and capability. 13.1, Manningham Quarterly Report, Quarter 3, January to March 2024-25. Do I have a mover? Councillor Chen.
I move that the recommendation be adopted.
Thank you, Councillor. And do I have a seconder?
I second the motion, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor El Taha. Councillor Chen, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, I do. Thank you. And the tabled Manningham Quarterly Report is a report for Quarter 3 from January to March 2025. And capital works program is progressing slightly slower compared to the same quarter of the last financial year. Some capital works projects completed during the quarter, including Hepburn Reserve, Roffey Lake Park Playground upgrade, Parker Street Footpath, Hillcrest Reserve Share Path, Malamallan Linear Park Stage 5, between Heidelberg Warrandy Road to Reynolds Road. Also include Doncaster Library internal layout upgrade, Pines Learning including Tricare Playground upgrade, Melbourne Hill Road drainage upgrade. Council's operating surplus in Quarter 3 was 31.27 million. There were many favorable variants, but the main factor was the land compensation payment of 26.26 million in relation to the North East Link project. All major initiatives to deliver our council plan are on track. In terms of council's climate response and environment, there were additional 5 council facilities to have solar panels installed to support our commitment to climate action. They are Doncaster Bowling Club, Templestowe Valley Preschool, Zerbis Reserve, Scout Hall, Donvale Hockey and Bowls Club, and Shrines Reserve Pavilion. Council has recently added street lighting into the vehicle. There is Victorian Energy Collaboration Contract, which will save Council about $100,000 per annum in operating cost. VECO is a power purchasing agreement with 47 councils to source renewable energy at lower than standard costs. It is also the largest emissions reduction project ever undertaken by local government in Australia. Council actively collaborates with other councils on various initiatives. This is one of the examples that Council works with other councils to help reduce costs and improve service delivery. Our first Inspired Living series in March was full, with over 250 people signed in at the door, and was the youngest crowd we have ever seen for an entire living event. Council continues to improve customer service. In the report, we can see resolution of requests within the service level agreement is high at 93%, exceeding the key performance indicator. Acknowledgement of requests is 65%, although below targets, but it's the highest result today, and the metric appears to trend upwards. Vic Smart Planning achieved 96% decided within 10 statutory days and 71.2% standard applications within 60 statutory days. Overall, a good report, so I ask councillors to note the report but look forward to continuous improvement of our performance. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor, for your excellent summary. Councillor El Taha, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. And I also want to thank Councillor Chen for her very detailed overview and summary of the quarterly report. One thing I wanted to call out is the operating surplus of $31.6 million, primarily due to the one-off impact of the $26.3 million inflow from the land compensation payment received in relation to the North East Link project. I think that capital represents Manningham Council with an opportunity to think strategically in terms of utilising the funds to develop alternative income streams that endeavour in the long run to alleviate some of the pressure on ratepayers for council funding. And I just wanted to note that to the community. It's something that council is assessing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Taha. Do I have any speakers against the motion? Do I have any other speakers for the motion? I'll put that to a vote. All those in favour? And that's carried unanimously. Item 13.2, revised instrument of delegation from Council to the Chief Executive Officer. Do I have a mover?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that that recommendation be adopted.
Thank you, Councillor Grievous. Do I have a seconder?
I second the motion, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lang. Councillor Grievous, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillors, as you're aware, within a 12-month period after a general election, all delegations must be made under Section 11, which are still in force. This is one of them, and I just want you to note that the instrument of delegation has a number of conditions and limitations applied to the CEO, which he must report up the line. So I ask that the councillors adopt this recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Grievous. Councillor Lang, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Do I have any speakers against the motion? Do I have any other speakers for the motion? I'll put that to a vote. All those in favour? And that's carried unanimously. Item 13.3, informal meetings of councillors. Do I have a mover?
I move that the recommendation be adopted, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lang. Do I have a seconder?
I second the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Mayne. Councillor Lang, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Mayne, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Do I have any speakers against the motion? Do I have any other speakers to the motion? Well, I'll put that to a vote. All those in favour? And that's carried unanimously. Item 13.4, documents for sealing. Do I have a mover?
Madam Mayor, I move that the recommendation be adopted.
Thank you, Councillor Grievous. Do I have a seconder?
I second the motion, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor El Taha. Councillor Grievous, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, Madam Mayor.
Councillor El Taha?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Does any councillor wish to speak to the motion? I'll put that to a vote. All those in favour? And again, that's carried unanimously. Item 14, Chief Executive Officer. 14.1, Draft Council Plan, Draft 2025-26 Budget, Draft 10-Year Financial Plan 25-26 to 2034-35, and the Draft Revenue and Rating Plan. Do I have a mover?
Yes, I'd like to move that, Madam Mayor, that the recommendation be adopted.
Thank you, Councillor Conlon. And do I have a seconder?
Madam Mayor, I second the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Bain. Councillor Conlon, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, I would like to speak to it. And this is a massive amount of work. I mean, this is a culmination of a lot of work by our officers in particular, but also as us as councillors, but also notably the community, because It starts with a council plan, effectively, and this is a draft in principle, so it will be coming back in June or later whenever we decide to adopt it. But it's been, we started this process with a survey of over 1,200 people with a 25 Plan 25 plus survey. We then recruited a very competent community panel to help us develop some objectives for that plan. And now we've done a lot of work with officers, and I'd really like to, especially thank Karen's team for the great work they've done in terms of sort of trying to get it all together into this sort of plan. There's some really good objectives in here. Some that sort of I really hit my sort of core reasons for being on council is our infrastructure is fit for purpose and well maintained, and its utilisation is maximised. So that's a very noble and necessary objective. And our council is effective, efficient, and financially responsible. They're just a couple of the things that I note out of the plan, and it's there's a couple of things that our council plan is doing, I guess, a little bit differently this time. It's incorporating the municipal public health and wellbeing plan, which I think is a good thing, so that we don't have sort of conflicting and cross-talking strategic documents. So I think that's a positive thing. And also, I note the flexible action plan, which will give us the flexibility to actually see the outworking of the strategic objectives with updates without having to go through a process of adoption by council, because it's a reasonably flexible action plan. But again, I appreciate the officers' work in putting that all together on our behalf. So that's fed into our development of the budget. Okay, so part of what we have tonight is a draft budget, and I note from the budget, from the report, that council continues to face large cost escalations, and the report notes the impact of state government cost shifting onto Manningham Council, which is, it's just creeping along there. It's now at $17.5 million per annum. And as a result of all that, I do note the significant change to our waste charges. Currently, or up to this point, we've just been hiding the state government EPA landfill levy in the rates notices under our standard waste charge, and now we're going to pull it out. And now it was very clear from the report. Just this, we're talking about a $70 increase in our waste charges, effectively as a result directly of that landfill levy. So that'll be good for our ratepayers to know that it's not us that can't control our costs; it's other levels of government. And then as we move through the budget, that sort of covers our rating, what we proposed in the budget for rating. But also I note there's in this draft we have a 0.03% underlying surplus, which is good, because I think a couple of drafts ago we weren't looking at any underlying surplus. So that's a good sign for the council, and I do congratulate the officers for doing all that hard work and managing to get these 4 major documents, and a 10-year financial plan is obviously a continuation of the draft council plan. So I encourage us to adopt this and look for feedback from the community over the next month. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Conlon. Councillor Bain, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to echo Councillor Conlon's remarks as an incoming councillor and also someone who's been involved in similar planning processes. I just want to acknowledge the work of Mr Day and Karen and the officers and the team on an extremely good process. It has been a very thorough process with surveys and consultation of various types. I might just comment on the structure and the themes, particularly for the first year. So, $160 million budget for the upcoming 25-26 period, delivering over 100 amazing services. Broken down into major themes of safe and healthy community, $23 million in the upcoming year, livable places and spaces, 27 million, resilient environment, 35 million, thriving economy, 4 million, and well-governed and innovative council, 36 million. Backed up by a very impressive agenda for a capital budget, including 15 million on roads and bridges, 8 million on parks, 10 million on property works and acquisitions, 3 million on footpaths and cycleways, and 10 million for recreational and community facilities. It's a plan, the 4-year plan and the first year budget are well funded, very well thought out and very well planned. My compliment again to Mr Day and his team. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Bain. Do I have any speakers against the motion? Do I have any other speakers for the motion? Councillor Lang.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to call out that, and not to undermine, that there are many strategic documents mentioned in this motion and in this item, but the draft council plan, which is our 4-year strategic plan, which everything else then sits in and under, and how it's managed. So therefore your draft 2025-6 budget, your draft 10-year financial plan, your draft revenue and rating all sits underneath that. But on top of the draft council plan was our community vision. So I just want to call that out, and call out that as much as the financial documents here are extremely important, so is our council plan and the direction for the next 4 years. So can I really encourage us to share that draft with the community, so that they know what we are prioritising in the next 4 years, and that we have listened to our community in that prioritisation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lang. Do I have any other speakers to the motion? I would just like to again thank the officers for the huge amount of work, and echo Councillor Conlon's comments, and also to thank the community panel. I had a meeting with the community panel last week to again thank them for their inputs into shaping the council plan and into shaping the community vision that Councillor Lang spoke about, and also the recommendations that Councillor Conlon spoke about. Our draft documents, this set of draft documents, will be available on the council's website, publicly available. So if people are interested to view them, I think also we've spoken in this meeting about some of the projects that council is funding, but we also are aware of the cost of living pressures on residents. It's important that we're continuing the $150 low income rate rebate for holders of a low-income healthcare card, and we have other measures in the budget to support people within the community, whether it be through subsidised school holiday programs, etc. So I do encourage the community to have a look while the budget's on display before it comes back to us at the June council meeting. Do I have any other speakers to the motion? I'll put that to a vote. All those in favour? And that's carried unanimously. Item 14.2, Investment Policy 2025. Do I have a mover?
I'm a little tongue-tied.
I hear you, I am too. Let's start again. Do I have a mover? Councillor El Taha.
Yes, I move the motion be adopted, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Do I have a seconder?
I second the motion, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lang. Councillor El Taha, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, and I won't fumble it this time. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I thank the council officers for their work in putting the investment policy together with its revisions, and will note some key changes to be implemented from the previous policy in 2020. A prudent investment policy is vital to Manningham in order to maximise the potential returns of the community with their rate dollars, while ensuring risk is carefully managed and mitigated. I and my fellow councillors are very mindful of the significant weight of the responsibility that the management of public fund requires, and do not take this responsibility lightly, but also need to ensure that we are not overlooking options to improve the financial outcomes for our community. This is a key focus for myself as a councillor. I wish to note the key changes from the 2020 policy include adjusting the weighting of capital invested into differently graded Australian deposit-taking institutions, benchmarked in line with other councils, as well as a streamlining of the maturity mix of investments. Another key change is the exploration of investing assets into the ministerially approved Victorian Funds Management Corporation, which is a managed fund offering a range of investment opportunities across asset classes with a range of return and risk profiles. The VFMC is a public authority responsible for managing funds of more than $92 billion for Victoria and 32 public authorities and related organisations. I just want to note that while councillors are considering this option as a potential investment asset class, no decision whether funds will be allocated to this fund have been made, in what capacity or if at all, and nothing has been determined at this stage. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor El-Taha. Councillor Lang, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. When this came to us, I think it was very clear that, you know, we are in a stable financial position, even though financial sustainability long term is very difficult for local government. But we have had wise and prudent management of our money, and that's why we are doing better than some of our local government partners. And so therefore I do encourage that we continue to be very wise with our financial investment of our community's money. And looking at this investment policy that is taken into consideration as well as looking at opportunities. Ultimately, we take ratepayers' money and our financial position seriously and invest wisely for a sustained community and sustained services and sustained infrastructure. And that is important so we don't have to rely on just having more and more money coming from our community, but that we can hopefully stay within a rate cap environment but deliver all our 100 plus services. So I am very proud to say we are part of a council that has been wise and prudent, and hope we continue to be financially investment wise as well as opportunities for our community in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lang. Do I have any speakers against the motion? Do I have any other speakers for the motion? I'll put that to a vote. All those in favour? And that's carried unanimously. Item 15, urgent business, and there are no items of urgent business. Item 16, council's reports and question time. Councillor Chen, would you like to make a report or raise a question?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to ask a question about our electric vehicle charger. And I understand that the first public electric vehicle charger will be installed at Bulleen. And can officers provide an update as well as the rest of the 8 public electric vehicle chargers to be installed across Manningham? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chen. I'll ask Helen Napier, Acting Director City Services, to provide a response, please.
Thank you, Councillor Chen, and thank you, Madam Mayor. So to answer the first part of your question, the EV charger, the public EV charger that we are installing through third-party partnership, the license agreement has been completed to use the land, and the Bulleen Road EV charger, the works are set to begin in the coming weeks. So you'll see something happening there quite soon. It's also estimated that the install for Doncaster Road near the Devon Plaza will begin around August to October this year. And we are still awaiting on some planning approvals and direction on the other sites, which includes the Pines MC2/Civic Centre, so just out here, Donvar Reserve, Donburn Village, Lawford Street and Mullum Stadium. So those are all still in process at the moment. And then the rapid chargers, so the fast chargers that we're putting in with a different third-party provider, which don't require planning approvals because they don't have advertising associated with them. They're delayed due to the electricity distributor So the estimated install for those sites is around mid-2026, so mid-next year, and that includes Templestowe Village, Tunstall Square and Doncaster Reserve.
Thank you, Helen. Do you have any other questions or statements, Councillor? Councillor Griffiths, you had your hand up.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It was a wonderful opportunity to celebrate the tennis community at the 2025 Victorian Community Tennis Awards, which were held on Thursday, the 22nd of May, coinciding with National Volunteer Week as well. Councillors, you may be aware that Manningham Council was nominated as a finalist in the Local Governance Recognition Award. This was due to showing strong commitment to local tennis, currently progressing through the action planning stage at thriving tennis communities, and recent investments reflecting Council's commitment to the sport, with upgrade planned across 3 sites and major works at 4 venues, including resurfacing, floodlighting upgrades and landscaping. I would also like to particularly acknowledge and congratulate the following. First of all, Vicky Lee from the Slamming Doncaster Tennis Club, who was nominated as a finalist for the Inclusion Tennis Awards. So well done to her. So Doncaster Tennis Club Advantage Autism's program provides inclusive, supportive tennis opportunities for individuals on the autism spectrum, and the program removes barriers by delivering fully booked weekly sessions on-site and offering sensory-aware environments across various venues. So well done to Vicky Lee as well. And also Kim Pappas, so President of the Bulleen Tennis Club, for the Volunteer of the Year Award. Under his leadership, membership surged over 70%, with numbers now projected to reach 400 by the end of 2025, so well done. Apparently, court usage has tripled and has secured over $160,000 in grants for major upgrades to the club. Kimon has also championed a strong governance and inclusive in ensuring BTC's long-term success. So well done, Kimon. But more importantly, Kimon did win the 2025 Tennis Victoria Volunteer of the Year Award. So congratulations. It was an absolute honour to be there with you, Madam Mayor, to celebrate this. And congratulations go to all, and thank you for the dedication to the support you provide not only to the tennis community, but to the wider Manningham community. So well done, Kimon. And we look forward to him in the Tennis Australia Awards coming up, because he's a finalist there too now.
Thank you very much, and congratulations to Kimon. Other councillor reports or councillor questions? Councillor Taha.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Tonight, I would like to firstly thank Ulma Centre and local charity Olive Kids, which was co-founded by one of my incomparably residents and inspiring ward members, for their work inviting Dr. Mohammed Mustafa to share his first-hand experiences to councillors as well as the wider community on his courageous work as a doctor in Gaza amidst the ongoing and unfathomable escalating Israeli onslaught. What he has seen being inflicted on children was truly harrowing to hear, and it was a very powerful event for the community who has been witnessing the atrocities live-streamed. To my fellow councillors who were unable to attend, I highly encourage you to listen to the recording due to its significance and impact across our communities widely, especially as his concluding message was one of determination and hope, which was valuable for the community to hear. Also, given it's National Reconciliation Week and Sorry Day was yesterday, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the ongoing impact settler colonialism had on our own First Nations children. That reverberates to this day, and offer my solidarity and support to anyone impacted by the ongoing trauma of this in our local community. I hope to facilitate the strive for healing from this pain. I acknowledge these topics are heavy, and running parallel to this is the importance of community organisations that exist in Manningham, and their backbone being the volunteers who aim to provide care and support to people struggling. As an extension of an event held at Council last night to recognise the work of the volunteers, I wish to personally acknowledge and thank the volunteers across Manningham in a vastly diverse range of roles who selflessly give up their time. They play an important role in supporting Council, and they bring such a positive impact onto people's lives. I thank those dedicated to the betterment of their community for their service. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other councillors wish to? Councillor Bain.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would just like to call out and congratulate Manningham Rotary. Madam Mayor, you and I had the privilege of attending the All Abilities Disco a couple of weeks ago, and in my capacity being on the Disability Committee, I'm just aware that the families and the participants deeply appreciated that event. I'm proud to be part of a Manningham that supports our most vulnerable residents. I In contrast, I'm aware of issues in other parts of Melbourne where homeless people have been. There's been a proposal to fine homeless people, which I think is disturbing. I'm proud to be part of a Manningham community that supports and will continue to support its most vulnerable residents. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Bain. Councillor Laura Main.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to take a moment to highlight the outstanding exhibition currently on display at our Manningham Art Gallery titled Painted Country. This exhibition features the work of 5 First Nation artists, each drawing on their deep cultural, artistic and ancestral knowledge to create unique and powerful depictions of country. So Painted Country has been thoughtfully timed to coincide with National Reconciliation Week, which is happening right now, as we've already discussed. And this year's theme, Bridging Now to Next, encourages us to reflect on our shared journey and look ahead with purpose. So I had the pleasure of attending the opening last week and was genuinely impressed. The artworks are bold, moving and visually stunning, and I do really encourage all residents to visit and experience this remarkable collection firsthand. But just more broadly, I want to give a shout out to the Manningham Art Gallery, located at MC Squared, which is just across the street from us here at the Civic Centre. It's a really fantastic place that showcases really thoughtful and engaging exhibitions, so if you're ever looking for a moment of inspiration or a moment of quiet reflection, it's well worth a visit. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Do I have any other reports, Councillors? Councillor Lang.
Thank you. Councillors, as we've heard tonight, and you know, we get invited to celebration events, but we also get invited to those where we stand for those who are experiencing hardships. This month, I attended one of those latter events. It was called Team Archie. This event was about connection. It was about hearing 2 parents, Dwayne and Chloe, their journey with their son Archie, who is diagnosed with MSD. It's about their journey that was filled with challenges that no parent should have to face, but filled with strength, love and kind of resilience that makes you believe in the power of community. 7-year-old Archie, who is an extremely talented basketballer and footballer, has MSD. Most MSD babies only last a few days as their disease cells take over their healthy cells and stop body functioning, and eventually they die. However, in Archie's case, 70% of his cells were diseased, so the healthy cells fought through infancy and toddlerhood. However, as a young kindergarten boy and now primary school boy, his diseased cells are taking over. Consequently, Archie has lost his hearing, his eyesight, and he's starting to lose his swallowing reflexes. MSD cells are taking over his healthy cells. Before Archie loses all bodily function, Dwayne and Chloe would like to take Archie to America to watch an NBA game live. A boy's lasting dream, a parent's lasting memory. It was a function that was filled with emotion. You laughed, you cried, and you did both at the same time. I like to thank the Park Orchards Shark community for coming around this family and for supporting with the planning, setting up and organising of Team Archie. This was an event that showed to you that in a world where there is sometimes chaos, uncertainty and cruelty, community still matters, kindness still matters, and showing up for each other still matters. Through the hardship and the difficulty, community and coming together is our strength, and that's what really matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you for sharing the story. Do I have any other reports or questions, councillors? Councillor Goff.
Yes, Madam Mayor. My question is with regard to the North East Link and sound. I did refer to it earlier on in my talk about the issue, and that is the machinery going out throughout the night. It happened on a number of evenings, getting the dates, about a week and a half to 2 weeks ago. I had a number of calls on the issue, and I did actually hear it myself one night, and I thought, wow. In the distance you can see an MCG, this glow, and there was certainly the great sound. One person reported that with double glazing and a solid brick house, they heard inside audible sound of that thumping. It sounded like a pole driver, that's but it was extremely loud, operating early in the morning, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm just wondering if we can get the office to get a report together on the hours those machines are operating in the night and the day, and question the reports on sound output by the EPA and any other issues with regards pollution of that, and get a report back so we have a better understanding of what it is. They also wrote to me and said, or texted me and said, well, what can we do? Where can we go? Obviously, they have rung Spark and Milk. So I just wonder if we could take that up as an issue. I know that we have people liaising with them, so I'm wondering if we could get that and get a report on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Andrew Day, our CEO, will provide a response.
Thank you, Councillor. It's definitely a challenging time, and obviously with this project there are different phases of construction as well. And we do know, as you point out, there is works going on late into the night, in fact 24 hours a day, and there are some changes at the moment in terms of construction. We do regularly raise these issues on behalf of council directly and on behalf of community directly with Spark and the North East Link, and we do that in a range of different ways. We'll continue to raise those issues on behalf of residents, but we would absolutely continue to encourage residents to continue to directly contact Spark and the North East Link through the contact points that are available on our website as well. It's really important that they are aware of those complaints, but obviously we do that as well on behalf of community directly with the North East Link. We'll certainly pick up whatever information and provide whatever information we can in relation to noise as well, because they do have obligations in relation to noise, and that is audited too. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. I've got a question and a report. So my question also reports to the North East Link, and it relates to the ongoing changes to the on-ramps and exit ramps of the Eastern Freeway, and in particular the Doncaster Road on-ramp to the Eastern Freeway is getting a lot of complaints from residents, particularly at night, so I don't even know how to now get onto the Eastern Freeway. It's becoming particularly dangerous. And then even the on-ramp from Bulleen Road onto the Eastern Freeway, there are 2 lanes that just suddenly merge into one with no idea that the merging is coming. So, and then I'm also getting complaints that people can't even see now the exit signs to get off onto Bulleen Road or to Doncaster Road, particularly at night. So my question is for our officers, the safety along the freeway, can we please represent to the project how important it is to enhance the signage about mergings and exits and increase the height of signs, because it really is a difficult area. So I don't know if our CEO...
Yeah, similarly, I might take that one, Councillor. Absolutely, it is an issue that we're aware of. Again, it's changing rapidly. It feels like it changes every day almost at the moment, particularly as they're starting to, really do some major works on, as you point out, a couple of those major intersection points with the Eastern Freeway. Yes, we're aware that at different points in time there are visibility issues and signage issues. We certainly encourage community members to, when they do have trips, to regularly check North East Link information, because Spark and North East Link in particular do provide a lot of information in terms of those changes. But appreciate people get a lot of information these days as well. So I do encourage people to look for that information and pay attention to it, but we will certainly continue to raise those issues of visibility and signage with the North East Link as they're making those changes.
Thank you, Andrew. And to continue on the spirit of community and kindness, councillors, I was at Templestowe Park Primary School last week, and you may recall when I was at St Gregory the Great Primary School, I asked them how those students would invest council money. And again, I asked Templestowe Park primary students how they would invest if they were councillors' budget. their number one priority for investing council budget was healthy ageing. Exactly the same as St Gregory the Great. Their number two priority was looking after their pets, and they did say, one girl did tell me that her dog was lost, and our pound looked after her dog very, very well. And number three was recycling and waste management. So I saw a very strong theme between, it's only 2 primary schools, but I'm determined to keep doing this little bit of research with our primary schools. Community consultation with our youngest members. Thank you, councillors, for reports and question time. Item 17, confidential reports, and there are no confidential reports this month, which brings me to the close of our meeting. Thank you, everyone.